I'm Essence Washington. I am the Associate Director of Counseling Services. I use she, her pronouns. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I've been with Oglethorpe for going on 2 years now. So as well as, of course, managerial things, I do therapy as well. I provide group therapy. Right now I'm doing a healthy relationships group, which is open to all of the students. So if you're interested in any of our support groups, those are available and posted online for you. And I'll go over some of the ways to contact us later on in my presentation. But I kind of wanted to talk mainly from a counseling perspective, of course, about time management. And the biggest thing, and I always love talking about time management just because I'm a planner and I love planning. So I'm always talking about what's important, how you're fitting in not only school, but your personal life, work life, social life. And so one of the biggest things that I kind of do actually when students come into therapy with me is, what does your schedule look like? You know, like, what are you planning? If that's something that's a concern for you, how are you planning certain things or outlining certain things if you're feeling very stressed and overwhelmed with things? One of the biggest things that I've found for a lot of people is they don't plan their social things. And what I mean by that is like planning time for yourself. So yes, we can sit down and plan things for school. We can plan out when we're going to study. We can plan out when we have certain obligations, but a lot of times we don't outline what's good for us and what we want to do. And sometimes people feel like that's silly. Like, why am I sitting down planning 10 minutes of self-care time? But if you don't plan it out, then more than likely you'll do what? Overlook it or skip it. So it's important that you're including yourself in your schedule. One of the biggest things that I found that is helpful for a lot of students is asking that question, what are you wasting your time on? And sometimes that's a hard question to answer for a lot of people because we feel like everything is a priority. We feel like everything is important. I have to meet these deadlines, meet these obligations, but are you truly spending your time on the things that you need to spend your time on? Are there things that you're wasting your time on that are not beneficial for you? Sometimes we are spending our time in unhealthy spaces with unhealthy people. I'm a TV person, and I know sometimes I watch TV too much, and that's a waste of my time. And so sometimes we have to really regulate some of the things that we enjoy, but might not necessarily be beneficial for our schedule and what we're doing, which is not allowing us to be able to outline the things that are priority for us that are creating more stress for us, which stress is normal. I will say that, I'll put that out there, like stress is normal. And we have to know like what our limits are, essentially. So although stress is something that we're all going to encounter, at what point in time does it become too overwhelming for you? And you know that limit. Are you not sleeping? You know, are you not socializing? Are you not engaging? Are you not, there's a lot of different things that we can do differently depending on the person that you are. Are you not eating? You know, and that's one thing that's important for your mental health is a lot of times we forget the physical part of it, the foods that we're putting in our body. That's a big factor. Are we exercising? And not exercising like you don't have to be in the gym lifting weights heavy or anything like that, but taking that walk, you know, that's important. Getting sunlight, that's a huge thing on how you feel. And so even if you have 5 minutes in your schedule, are you taking the opportunity to just step outside, step away from your desk and just go breathe in some fresh air? So those are things that we have to kind of think about and include when we're thinking about time management, scheduling, how busy we are. And a lot of times we put ourselves on the back burner. And so that's why I said in the very beginning, like, are you allotting the time for yourself? And even if it's small, sometimes we want it to look a certain way and it doesn't have to look that way, you know? So we might say, oh, I have to be in the gym for an hour, but maybe you don't. Maybe you just have 10 minutes in your day and use that 10 minutes to the best of your abilities. Like, you don't have to use that entire time like you think it should be. Just use it how you can. And that little bit of time is going to help you in the long run. A lot of times we talk about coping skills, which coping skills I'm a big fan of, don't get me wrong, but I also think that coping skills are very reactive when we think about our mental health and stability versus being proactive, which is including those things in your routine. So if you're already including your self-care, if you're already managing your time, then you're less likely to use as much coping skills as you think you need to use, because you're being proactive about your mental health. So you're less reactionary to things that are happening. So thinking about that balance, what are you doing for yourself? I'm just looking over my list to make sure I didn't forget anything that I wanted to include. But just from a counseling center perspective, you know, a part of coming to therapy, those are some of the things that we discuss. You know, we discuss anything that you feel like is detrimental to your mental health. And even when you want to be proactive, like even if you feel like nothing is wrong, but I just want to make sure I'm good, I just want to make sure that my emotional health is stable for me, that's a part of coming to therapy. And a lot of times when you come, you discover some things that you necessarily didn't even know was problematic for you. And so getting into counseling, just a little bit about what we do provide individual therapy. Our sessions are an hour. We have 4 therapists. So it's myself, Dr. Claire Fuller, Byron Kellum, and Nicole Collar. And when you are interested in therapy, you can either contact us at the counseling center at oglethorpe.edu, or you can go to our website, and there we have a link to complete your intake forms. And in your intake forms, you're able to choose a counselor preference as well. So if you get an opportunity to look at our website and you see, oh, well, Nicole specializes in trauma, or, you know, Byron works a lot with our athletes, you're able to kind of choose that preference so that you can meet with the person that you prefer to meet with. Typically, when you come into therapy, you'll have that intake. And so that's really a general history and overall what's going on with you. And then from there, we'll either meet weekly or bi-weekly. One of the great things that we have for this school year that we started is that we no longer have a session limit. So you're able to come to us as much as you want to come to us. And that's been good for a lot of people because we've been able to jump from bi-weekly to weekly. But of course, if you still want to maintain a bi-weekly schedule or even come in once a month to just check in, you're able to do that as well. I did mention that we offer group therapy. So right now we have the Healthy Relations Support Group that I'm doing on Wednesdays from 4 p.m. to 5:15 p.m. And then we also have on Thursdays, Byron Kellum is doing a, forgive me if I get the name incorrect, social and political turmoil support group. And that's basically for the experiences that we're currently having in our world, in our society. So it's just an open area for you to be able to communicate your emotions, connect with other people who might be experiencing the same thing as you're experiencing. And I don't think I mentioned the time on that. That's from 7 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. So if you email either one of us for the password for the Zoom link, we will send that to you at least the day before the group. And sorry for my children if you hear them in the background. But I think that's it. And I'm open to questions, of course, at the end when that time comes.
Hey y'all, my name is ERIN Sherrill. I know it says career development right there, but my name is ERIN. I use she, her pronouns, and I have been at Oglethorpe for almost 5 years. The realization just hit me like yesterday. It's amazing how time flies. And so in career development, I recognize a lot of you, so you're already in tune with what we do, but just in case you're not, or you want a refresher, we're focused on helping you focus on your personal and professional development, everything from jobs and internships and connecting with alumni and gaining some experiences that will help you explore career options and take practical steps toward your next career. And I just really want to appreciate and emphasize what Essence was sharing earlier about including yourself in your schedule and what is actually beneficial to you. Those are such important things to kind of keep in mind. So I want to share my screen actually real quick. I promise this is not a ridiculous PowerPoint. It's very, very short and it's mostly just contact information. But I think something to keep in mind about career development is it's a lifelong journey, right? So it's not like you hit a point in college where you have to make a decision about an internship, or you have to make a decision about your career. And this is the career I'm doing, and this is my life going forward. More people are changing their careers many times. In fact, I think the rate now is about a dozen times in your professional life, you'll change careers. And that's substantial change. That's not just a promotion or doing the same thing in a different company. That is change. So those are things to just kind of like keep in mind as you're thinking about your own career. So being intentional with it, starting with it now, making space for it now. And so what that means is whatever your goal is, determining what that is it, I want an internship sometime in my next year. I want to plan for and get a job for after graduation. I want to apply to graduate programs and start the year after graduation. Identify what that is, and let career development know what you're interested in doing, and we can help you along that process. But making some time in your schedule for you to achieve that goal is a really important thing. For those of you who are getting close to graduation time, there's a really scary statistic out there that says it takes about 6 months to find and secure a job. That's a long time, right? And, there's another one like the saying that applying for a job is a full-time job. So it requires some time and focus. And if you're not already connected with Handshake, that is a tool. And within Handshake, we've got a number of tools that can kind of help you along the way. But I think, the key thing now is it's never too late to get started focusing on your career. It's also never too early. And, now is the time to start building into your schedule. So if you're thinking about finding a full-time job after graduation, start thinking about it now, building in some time. Maybe it's only 2 hours a week right now. So you can give yourself 1 hour to do a bunch of job searching and find positions you're interested in. And then the other hour is focused on submitting 1, 2, or 3 applications. And that's your weekly schedule. And as you feel more comfortable with that, you can add an hour, add some more time, or you want to be more aggressive with it and just give yourself a really good block. But setting into your schedule some time to focus on career is going to be valuable for you and in your benefit. It doesn't feel good to be stressed out about it at the last minute, to feel like you're up against a deadline, and to feel like you don't know what it is that you need to do to be successful in the moment. So we can always help you identify a schedule that might make sense for you, or we can talk through that. I'll share here some ways to stay connected with us. So you can always schedule an appointment with us through Handshake. And I can show you how to do that very quickly. But this is also our Instagram and our LinkedIn contact. Please be in touch with us. And after I finish talking, I'll paste this into the chat too. But please be in touch with us. Please follow us on Instagram. And then here's contact information for the team. When we are in person, we're in A-Lab Suite 239, which is right next to the A-Lab Exchange. You'll find when you're scheduling appointments in Handshake that Asia and Stephanie have the bulk of the open appointments to meet with students. So you'll want to make sure that you're looking for time with them. Okay. All right. That is the end of my slideshow. I promised it was really, really short. But I am going to go to a new share, and I want to show y'all around a little bit of Handshake for a second, and show you a couple resources. Yay, I like the snaps. All right, so are y'all seeing the right thing now? Okay, I'm trying to hang on, my slideshow's still up, and I'm
seeing a PDP troll.
You're seeing PDP troll. Okay, good. I was still seeing the slideshow and trying to get around that. All right, so this is PDP Troll's Handshake profile. If you haven't already updated your profile, I recommend you spend some time doing that. When you meet with someone in career development, we can always go through and look at your profile together. But I'm not going to spend too much time on how to do that. But I will say the more information you put into your profile, making it 100% complete, adding information about your education, your work experience, your interests, and then also your courses and your skills down here at the bottom, that the more you put there, the more Handshake is going to know you and the quicker job searching can be for you. Because what Handshake will do is when you go over and look at jobs, by clicking on this jobs tab, it's going to take all that information about what you've put into your profile, and it's going to pull up jobs that are more closely related to what you're telling Handshake is your interest and your skill set, right? So it's not, and it's always going to start with on-campus opportunities first. So you'll see those things right off the bat. So, it's not, a perfect system, right? And just because you put in information, it doesn't mean that there's not more jobs out there that may be great for you, or that there's things out there you just don't know even exist that might be in Handshake. So take some time and look through all the things that are there and be very open-minded about the positions that are there. So, and just as you're looking at job search, the job search function, you can favorite things so that you can go back to them later and you'll be able to find those things. Additionally, there's a quick apply button. This makes it pretty easy for you to apply for things. I will say that when you do this, it just uses the resume that's on file. And sometimes that's in your best interest and sometimes it's not. A general rule of thumb is you want to take some time to tailor your materials to what employers are looking for. So that requires extra time. And so that means, really setting some time in the week to work on looking at that position description, tailoring your documents to that, and submitting the resume and cover letter that puts your best foot forward. I'm also going to show you around resources. Well, actually, here, let's do this real quick. We'll talk about events. Events are really great ways for you to do some real quick career exploration. We have all kinds of events that are hosted by Oglethorpe in our department in collaboration with other members of campus, but there's also a lot of other things out there that you can check out. One thing that's coming up at the end of the month is the French language job fair. If that's a skill set you have or you're exploring further, this would be a really great thing to check out. You'll also see that we do a number of different things. We got the balance on here, but there's also the GACE virtual statewide career fair. This is for all majors. This is a huge fair for students to go and look for internships and full-time jobs. So this is a great thing to look at. Also, we've got events like the OU Insider Series and the communications and alumni panels. Communications is one example, but the OU Insider and the alumni panels are great ways for you to connect with alumni who are doing really cool things. And this is like the introductory way to work on networking and having conversations and asking questions about career-focused things. So you can get a lot of information from these events that can help you feel in a better mindset, but also more prepared to be thinking about your career. So definitely don't miss out on any of these things. I will also say for our creatives, we're hosting an event in a collaboration with the communications faculty about designing e-portfolios. This is another great thing that's a bit of time on the front end, but can help you more effectively and more quickly promote yourself going forward. So definitely something I recommend you check out. The OU Insider with Joette Solano, alum from 2013, who is a representative of Hulu, is going to be on Friday. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please make sure you sign up and attend. All right, so going over to the Career Center, I want to show one really useful document that I think can help you keep organized during your job search. So again, you'll find appointments here. Our resources tab has so much great stuff. Don't forget to check out the article about readings to help you come out on top during a global pandemic. There's a lot of good stuff in there, way too much for this time frame.
Once you show your document, ERIN, I'm going to wrap you up, but but please show this last document.
Yes, great. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. So target list, this is something that it'll take me too long to show you this, but you'll find the target list here. It's basically an Excel spreadsheet to help you stay organized with your search. So you can keep track of the communication you're having with employers, whether you've had a phone interview or you've sent your thank you email and different things like that. It can also help you keep track of all your deadlines for the applications that are due coming up soon, whether it be for grad school or for jobs and internships. So definitely check that out. The document, you can mold it to fit your needs, but it's definitely a way for you to keep organized. And that's going to be a key part of spending and dedicating the right amount of time on your job search. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I think I'm gonna keep saying great nuggets after each presentation. That's what I realize. I'll go ahead and let Melinda from the Registrar's Office and the Hub give some tips and nuggets as well.
Thank you, Natasha. Hi, everyone. My name is Melinda PEERBOOM. I use the she, her pronouns. And as Natasha said, I'm work in the registrar's office. I'm the associate registrar, but according to ERIN, I'm going to need to do a career change soon because I need to hit that 12 marker. So might not be around much longer. I'm kidding. But what I'd like to share a little bit today is kind of some of everything that's encompassed in the Hub. So the Hub encompasses billing and payments, financial aid, and registration and records. The business office, we kind of know you pay your bill there. But financial aid and registration are two where we see a lot of stress from students, particularly because there's this kind of idea that you have to finish your degree in 4 years. And, you know, if you're really the top bright student that you say you are, you'd finish in 3 years. And there's expectations being placed on you from employers and your parents. And it can be overwhelming, right? I'm getting overwhelmed just thinking about it. I'm like, okay, calm down, Melinda, you're going to scare everyone. So one of the things I'd like to do today is to show you some tools that are available to you that may help you plan a little bit more effectively and just see, are there ways that I could spread things out? Because honestly, you're going to get overwhelmed. It's natural. But we want you to know that there are resources available to help you overcome that stress, overcome that feeling. And if you don't know where else to go, just let us know. That's anyone here would say, let us know. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen. So hopefully all of you have seen your student planning page, your degree audit before. So I am looking at a sample of my progress. And so my progress is really a degree audit. It is going to show me all of the courses that I need to take for a specific major. Now I've said that I'm a business administration major. I just chose that out of a hat. And while we're here, I went ahead and planned these classes, okay? So what I want us to do is to take a moment and think about, I've planned classes for the upcoming fall semester, so fall 2021 and spring 2022. Now you can see it here. It's okay, it's not great, you get an idea. But there's a feature that not many students use that is personally my favorite. And if I come up here to student planning and I go to plan and schedule, it is housed, sorry, it's resolving host, if you'll give it just a moment. It is going to pop up any moment with this timeline. So here's your schedule. This is what you would see. I know I'm taking calculus too. Choices were made. We're gonna go over to timeline. And the timeline feature is really nice because it gives you more of an aerial perspective of the classes that you've planned or in which you're registered. And we'll see here that for fall 2021, I've planned 20 credit hours. So there's 5 classes there. Now let's say as we approach the fall, I find out I need to work part-time, or I've joined an organization and I've been nominated as the president. And that's a lot of commitment, a lot of things being, I'm going to move one of these classes and I'm going to move it to spring 2022. And I decided it's going to be principles of macroeconomics. And what it's going to do is, boom, update it to show me here's 16 credits and here's 12 planned credits. And you're like, okay, Melinda, but is that really cool? Ahaha, but here's where the plot thickens. Let's say that I move this financial accounting over here to the spring semester. Oh, this error message wasn't there before. So now it's showing me that, well, I moved this financial accounting class over, but it has to be completed before I can complete this managerial accounting course. So I know one of the stressful things about changing your schedule or making big changes like this is, what's this going to mean for me long term? Is this going to mess up my plan? Because again, you have this pressure to, you want to complete in 4 years and you've got so many classes that need to be done. What are your options? Well, here's a tool available to you that you can use at 2 o'clock in the morning when you have your epiphany that things need to change. You can log in and look at this immediately. Now, I know that that's not always the reality. I'm going to stop my share here. The reality is, you're like, Melinda, I have to take those 5 classes because I changed my major after my first year and I don't have time to move something to another semester. There are other options for you. A lot of students aren't aware that you can take summer classes. And in fact, you can take summer classes for less than what they might cost you here. Shh, don't tell anybody I said that. You can take classes at Perimeter. You could take them at KSU. Even if you have questions about your eligibility, can I take classes there? I don't know. Will they accept me? How does this work? That's what the registrar's office is there to help you with. And you're like, that's wonderful, Melinda, but I've only seen you here. How do I ever get time to talk to you about these things? Do I just send you an email? You can schedule an appointment with us online. I'm going to share my screen again. If you go to the homepage for enrollment services, so it's literally hub.oglethorpe.edu. If you come down to this part right here, it says schedule an appointment and you click book an appointment. And this will take you to a bookings page. Now you can schedule an appointment specifically for financial aid or registration and records or with any individual here. That's me right there, just in case. Click on me. You can see all the appointments I have available over the next few weeks and you can schedule one. They're online. You can have a face-to-face or a camera-to-camera, whatever you feel comfortable with, and we can walk through the situation you might be facing to help you better understand what your options are. Because a lot of that stress and that time management comes from not knowing what I can do. And more often than not, I see students who are like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Let me do that right now. So that's something, I really encourage you to consider if you haven't already, looking at those tools that are available to you, scheduling meetings with us. Because if you're like me, I stress out about something and until I deal with that thing that's stressing me out, it affects everything else. I can't take time for me. I can't take time for this because I'm so busy being like, oh man, that class that I got to take, I don't know, when am I going to get it done? But we have all been there before. We are all stressed. We've all had to make sacrifices and decide what thing it has to go. How do I move this? If you need help with that, please do not hesitate to let us know. So without further ado, I'll pass it back to Natasha.
Snap, snap, nuggets. Thank you. I will go ahead and pass it along to Miriam in accessibility.
Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. Hope you get outside some to enjoy this beautiful weather, which will help you de-stress and relax. So like Natasha said, my name is Miriam. I am the Director of Accessibility Services at Oglethorpe. And although I work in accessibility, our overarching umbrella is academic success. So I'll talk a little bit about academic success as well as accessibility when it comes to just making things easier for you and finding a balance and not being overwhelmed in different things. You'll see some themes about what others have talked about. So I'll talk a little bit about being intentional as well as kind of piggybacking off what Melinda said with scheduling. So I'll start with that. So when thinking about your classes and with registration coming up, be intentional about the classes that you select. So meet with your advisor early. Don't wait till the last minute to meet with your advisor to figure out exactly what you want to take. Make sure you have a backup plan. So have a schedule of A, schedule B. If you're that ambitious, have a schedule C, because we all know that when it's time to register, a lot of times you're like, oh crap, this class is closed. And then you're trying to find another section and all of that. So be intentional about having some backup plans. Melinda, I'm laughing at you. Just to help relieve some stress for you. Again, being intentional. If you know you're not a morning person, try your best not to sign up for an 8 a.m. class if you can, because then Cecil's going to have to send you an email because you're missing class left and right. And we don't want that to happen. You don't want you to be penalized because, you know, you're not a morning person and you don't like to wake up before 10. So be intentional about the classes that you select. If you know you function better in the afternoon and there are more afternoon sections, try to register for classes that are in the afternoon. So that's some tips when it comes to scheduling your classes. I work with students where I'll work with them on a weekly basis. We'll plan out the day to the T. So what time are you waking up? Setting time aside, like Essen said, for yourself. So actually physically in a calendar, writing in, I'm going to take a nap between 1 and 2. Just having structure in a society of college where things are not as structured as high school, especially if you're a first year with transitioning from being in class all day from, I don't know, 8 to 3. College can be overwhelming because there's not as much structure. So giving yourself that structure in terms of, okay, I'm going to schedule a study break here, I'm going to schedule dinner here, can help a lot of students just keep on track and not be overwhelmed and help with procrastination. I'm looking at my notes, sorry. And it sometimes helps to schedule your so today's Tuesday, I would schedule my Wednesday tonight. So tonight before I go to bed, think about what you have to do tomorrow and schedule and plan your day out. Can sometimes help. And also it allows you to reflect on the day as well. One thing I encourage students to do mid-semester and at the end of the semester is reflect on how the semester is going. So how did you do last semester? What are some changes you can make to improve what's going on currently? Is there anything I can change now around the middle of the semester to help me progress moving forward? Another tip, use your resources. So use those people around you, whether it's another student, whether it's someone in academic success, whether it's someone in the hub, use your resources around you to help you find the answers. Like, you're not on this journey alone. We don't want you to go through this journey alone. So use the people around you that can help you. Whether that is using tutoring for students. And I tell students, don't think of tutoring as being something that is reactive, use it proactively. So you don't have to be struggling in a class to use tutoring. Sometimes it's good just to go to a tutoring session before a test, just to recap, or a SI session, just to recap what's going to be on that exam and different things to kind of give you a refresher. And sometimes it may be even beneficial if you are, you know, I'm struggling in this math class. Well, let me get a tutor for the math, the prerequisite for that, to kind of brush up on some of my skills that'll help me be successful in this class. Thinking of things like that. When it comes to accessibility, if you have a diagnosis of a disability, reach out to me. And that in our office, we see students with learning disabilities, mental disabilities, developmental disabilities, physical disabilities. They may have existing condition like diabetes or anything like that, recovering from an eating disorder. Please reach out so that we can make sure you have what you need, not to only be successful in the classroom, but outside of the classroom as well. And then don't forget that your faculty are there as well. So office hours, office hours, office hours. I know a lot of times students don't like to go to office hours, or they're like, I don't even know how to ask the professor about this. Don't hesitate. You can reach out to, you know, myself or anyone else in academic success, and we can help you approach that situation. Like even helping you craft a certain email to send to the professor because you want to address a concern or anything like that. But once again, don't hesitate to ask, use your resources around you. And I think that's all I have. So yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Snap, snap nuggets. I'm just gonna figure out how to incorporate that into my daily life. We're also grateful to have Cecil, you're on the call, so I'm not putting you on the spot, but I do wanna let folks know that you are here and in the building. And so A-Lab and Academic Success have so many great tools for time management. So thank you for mentioning that, Miriam. And I'm next, so I'll reintroduce myself. But again, my name is Natasha BYRD, she, her pronouns, and my title is Associate Director of Residence Life, Health and Wellness. And so more specifically, I do a lot of health and wellness stuff within residence life, but also I get to collaborate and do stuff across campus with SGA, student organizations. And that's kind of one of my loves and passions, is this idea of well-being and just remembering that it's a lot of different dimensions. And I think that's the way that I like to think of it, or it's holistic, in that it's not just our mental health, it's our physical health, it's spirituality, if that's something that you're connected to or that feels good to you. It's your financial wellness. It's that career or occupation, the things that you do, whether it's work specifically or career specifically, or just the things that you do. And then there's a number of other ones, environmental, the things that are happening around you. And so I think remembering and starting to remind yourself from the wellness standpoint and well-being standpoint that, like, you get to be holistic in how you choose to figure out what's important to you. I think that's something that continues to come up, and that you get to be proactive about it. You get to schedule those things in, and you get to say, like, this matters. I've decided that this week or in my life, spirituality is super important. And so it feels good to me to have and make sure that I've scheduled in 30 minutes a day or an hour a day. And that wellness wheel, that dimension of wellness, and I'll try and pull one up and show one in a second, but that's individual and looks different for every person. Sorry, I'm so slideshow. Can't show the slideshow until I've actually started sharing. Forgive me. So yeah, I think for myself, the biggest things that I'm talking about today are going to be wellness related. Because I do have the residence life standpoint, though, I'll also say that there are a lot of things that come up within residence life that have to do with your overall time management and well-being. A lot of things come up around our housing applications. So we'll be doing those in the next couple months. So continue to look out for emails that are coming from us as we kind of schedule that out, because sometimes it can be a headache as you're figuring out where you want to live and whether you're on campus, off campus, are you exempt or not? Do you get to live where you want to live and with who you want to live? And so just keep in mind that we'll be sending out emails that'll give you details around that information, that you can email us if you have any questions. We have some theme housing that will be going up this year for the upper quad areas. Yep, there are 2 spaces, and I think it's 8 people can live in each of the new apartments that were created in the summer of this past year. And so look for some information about themed housing as well. If there's 8 people or around 8 folks that you think you'd want to live together in kind of an apartment style space, that's another thing. So I will give that Res Life plug as well. I'm sharing from the beginning of my slides, so you're just gonna have to bear with Harold's in the corner. That's my lovely bearded dragon. And then I've got some family and other things that have kept me during the pandemic, but that's my wellness and well-being and how I manage my time. And so hopefully some of those give you a little smile. Melinda, I can just see that you're something feels good. And then from the health promotion and wellness standpoint, I really like that they've broken down well-being. And there's this kind of simple definition that a lot of these organizations that deal with wellness and higher education have come together to collaborate on, but we define well-being as an optimal and dynamic state that allows people to achieve their full potential. I think that continues to come up in this conversation too, right? Like, what is your potential? What are the things that matter to you, and being able to assess those things personally? Sometimes I think we freak ourselves out because we're comparing ourselves to everybody else and what they're doing and what their path is and how they got to where they got. Or we're reading things and we're like, well, I was supposed to do it, like Melinda said, I was supposed to do it in this timeline, or I'm supposed to do it this way. And that you are your own person, you are your own superpower, no one else can be you. And so I hope that you know that it's okay to need help and assistance and to navigate your own path that looks separate from maybe what is defined as how things should work or should go. But again, this kind of just breaks down different types of wellness. Objective, that food, the housing, that I know that there's a lot of things that we're working on and changing, so we're making sure that we're supporting students even better in a lot of these areas. So the physical and mental health, and the things that are like inherent human rights for life, liberty, security, safety, all that stuff. Subjective wellness, so what is happiness and satisfaction to you? I like this idea, like technically you can be sick and you can still be well. I think sometimes we're like, oh, well, if you're this or that, or if you have things going on that you can't be happy. And research continues to show that that's not true. You can have a lot going on and still be well and be satisfied and happy with your life. And so sometimes it just takes figuring out the things that give you happiness, give you joy, and doing more of those when you can. So I love the idea of really putting them on the calendar, and that feels weird, but doing that. And I know for me, sometimes when I couldn't put it on the calendar, being retroactive and at least sitting and saying like, you know what, I did go outside. I did have a moment where I was able to talk to friends for an hour, and that felt good. So you can still put it in there and note that you've done something for yourself, even if it wasn't super scheduled in. And then again, that kind of wellness wheel, or dimensions of wellness. Some have more, some have less, but I love these kind of things that just give you the idea that there's so many different aspects that build up to who you are and what makes you happy. So remembering that. What else do I want to share? That's a lot, but that is about self-care, which is important. But what practices make you feel nourished in all those different dimensions? But that we should be doing more of those and giving ourselves leisure and joy. And I like what was stated earlier, which was this idea, like you don't want to overindulge and be doing too many things that are coping if you can do things proactively and put them in on the front end. But some things like yoga, meditation, exercise, crafting, all these things are common, but you need to find the things that work for you. If I just said yoga is the self-care thing and told everyone to do it, there'd be a lot of really angry, upset people who don't do yoga and who don't enjoy that form of connection. So find the things that work for you. And I know we have programs coming up where you can crowdsource that, and we just talk about different things, cup of tea, going outside, birding, all that stuff. So, and then I like this little grind and busyness culture are embedded in our society and then within capitalism, and we live and work within that. But it's a person sitting at a computer holding a phone, it looks like, and it says, "Hi, I'm just texting to confirm that you got my voicemail about the email with the link to the invite to join the chat, to schedule the Zoom meeting, to plan the webinar for the virtual conference." And that feels very much like this pandemic and the fact that there's a lot going on. So remembering that we are still in a global pandemic, that there are so many issues that have been magnified. And so where you can, give yourself grace, give yourself a chance to breathe, and that if things are taking a little bit longer, that is okay. And we've talked to so many great resources today with people and tips and nuggets and all these things that can help in the process. And then I'll end with this guy. I love beam.org, and the creator and founder is Yolo Akili. And he has this feelings wheel, and it's not his, but the idea of just sitting and figuring out what your feelings are, especially in a pandemic, but like in general, that we should be doing a little more of that, of just checking in. And so you can kind of, the center circle has one word, and then each word is kind of pushed out into 4 additional categorizations of that feeling. And then on the opposite end is kind of the opposite of those. So one half of the wheel, it's a little bit difficult. Oops, I apologize. Are you all still seeing the PowerPoint? There we go. Oh, it got off my screen. But one half of the wheel is kind of like what your feelings are when your needs are being met, and those when you're not being met. And that you can hold space for lots of different feelings at the same time. Sometimes you're feeling sadness and happiness about different things, or you're afraid of one thing, but you're loving something else. So kind of complicating some of the things that we're going through and figuring out like, oh, okay, you know what, my shoulder is at my ear right now because I'm really, really stressed. And like, maybe I can take a deep breath and take a moment and just figure out what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it. Sometimes little things like that can also help you when you're going through things or when you do. We're complex beings and we have a lot of things that are happening, and sometimes we're grieving things, and we're also just, we're going through a lot. And so being able to assess that is good. And I would highly recommend reaching out to counseling, the counseling center, to really help do more of this kind of stuff, because I think that it's super supportive. I'm gonna see if I'm doing okay on my time. But yeah, I think those are the biggest things that I want to share today. And then as always, if there's more that you're interested in, or you would like to know more about any of the organizations or things, feel free to let me know. But yeah, I want to also not talk too much because I want to open up a little bit of time for you all as students to ask questions and have a little bit of conversation around time management for yourself. So any questions or things that you all are thinking of right off?
Hi, thank you all for having an amazing, this is a great collaboration of a lot of different offices. And one of the themes that I got from this is just to be your authentic self and just to be able to know who you are, where you are, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And that's in your career search, that is in your self-care, that's in your advising your relationship that you have with your advisor, to get to say like, hey, this is what the major, or this is kind of the interest that I would like to have. But other than that, I mean, I think that we have a fantastic group of individuals who are open. We keep on saying open door, but we have open Zoom rooms. But definitely utilize those resources. So I'm grateful for all the individuals that are on here, and happy post-International Women's Day.
Thank you, Cecil. Same, we're so grateful for you. And then Michaela, if I may, I'm gonna read it. Very helpful event, lots of great takeaways. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
I did.
Yes, please.
Sorry, I just wanted to point something out, because I know Cecil had made a great point about saying open Zoom policy. I know the hub is far removed from the campus, TLCC. Like, we just seem like kind of in our own building, and unless you're getting your mail, you don't even really come and see us. So like, it's cool. I know, I love you guys too. But it can be foreboding, right? And especially when you have questions about financial aid or like fixing something on your record. I know it can seem that there's this power imbalance of like, well, these are the people I need to make this happen, so I'm going to be more cautious about coming in and asking. And I know that that is hard to overcome. So I'm going to go out on a limb and ask you to just trust us. We are super well. I mean, you'll hear me down the hall. I'm the loudest person in the world. So I replicate that in Zoom as well. Like, you're paying us to be here really at the end of the day. So don't feel like you can't come in and ask us questions or point out something and say, I don't understand why this is the case. Can you help me better understand this? Because oftentimes the stress and frustration that I see students walk into my office with are simply because it's been built up in their mind that they talked to this person who said this, who said that. And it's just now they've stuck their head in the sand and are acting like an ostrich and said, I don't want to deal with it. Well, no, come talk to me about it. Even if it's not my area. I know Natasha and Miriam and ERIN have all sent me people who like, this isn't necessarily something I do, but I'll get you to the person that needs it. And like, we'll connect you. So don't feel like it's, I've never met you before. I know I'm asking you to trust me, but we'll help you. We'll help you out as much as we can. So that's all. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you. No, you got right to it. Vivian, go ahead. Sorry.
One thing that I would like to add is get to know your resources and also use them wisely. So if you need like any job tips or anything like that, you can go to Miss ERIN. If you need something related to wellness, you go to Miss Natasha and other departments on campus. I just feel like it's very important for us to navigate our resources on campus because there are so many resources that you can get to. So don't be quiet, just don't be shy to ask for help or ask questions.
And I think one thing I want to add to that is just all of this, like the focus on your wellness and everything just requires self-reflection. And that too is something that is easy to avoid if you don't want to focus some thought or time on that. So give yourself some space for some self-reflection, whether it's after an incredibly stressful class or exam, or you totally bombed an interview, or, you had an awkward interaction with a friend or family member, give yourself a little bit of space to just kind of check in with you and think, how did I feel about that? What's making me not feel awesome? And is there something that I could do or someone I could talk to that could help me figure out what my next steps are? And we always encourage that after interviews, whether it was really great or not so great, to reflect and write down some notes about how you could improve next time. But that goes for like all the other things in your life. And so when you're, it's easy for us to say, ask for help, but sometimes you don't know what to ask for, what you need help with. So give yourself some time for some self-reflection too.
So true. Thank you all. Any other final thoughts from our panelists or any of the participants or folks attending before we kind of wrap things up and close it out?
I'll do a shout out to Peter, who's here from Global Education, because Global Ed and study abroad is also something that requires some time to put in, like planning into your schedule. So, he's, not to put you on the spot, Peter, but he's here and can assist with your global education needs too.
I'll just say, from advisees and people I interact with, I think all of the questions I get basically come down to what you offered today. So super helpful and very needed. So keep up the good work, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm going to go ahead. We only have about 2 minutes left. So again, if there's anything else anyone wants to state, feel free to do so now. But otherwise, this has been amazing. I think it's been great to virtually have so many different offices and areas in one space to chat and collaborate. And Vivian, thank you again so much for having the thoughts around the need for this, right? And if there are more things that we can continue to collaborate on, which I'm sure that there are, hopefully we'll continue to have more series and things like this in the future. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. I know I'll stay around for a couple of minutes after if anyone has any questions or wants to chat, but otherwise feel free to head on out or leave whenever you'd like. Thank you all again.